and welcome to this video tutorial, which is the first for this year, 2023. Yes! And what's up in this one? Well, you know, I'm always trying to diversify my operations on the model railroad to fit all my my moods. No, but not just to drive the trains round and round because, well, that's fun for a while when you have a new set, but you get kind of, well, at least me, get tired of after a while to do that. I want new challenges. And one of these things you can add to your layout is if you have diesel engines, diesel locomotives, you can disconnect them and take them to a fueling facility or fueling point for diesel and sand. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to build a fueling point with tanks for diesel storage, and we're going to use a wide range of materials, everything from scraps, you know, recycled stuff, which is basically a zero cost, and you know, everyone has access to manufacturers' kits, and also 3D printed stuff, which is basically the same as the manufacturer's kit, but only 1/10 of the cost. So big advantage there. And of course, you can customize it much more than kit bashing. Kit bashing is more work and less output, I think. So let's get started.
In my scenario, the diesel comes in through the harbor and needs a storage there. So I'm planning to build 2 of these tanks. The easiest way to do that is by using old shampoo bottles. I take these 2 round ones and remove the label. And I cut off the top, and then we need to do something about the bottom. I'm plastering that using joint putty. A good thing is to use a joint putty which do not shrink or crack, because that will make the job easier for you. Otherwise you will have to plaster it multiple times. Then use a steel plaster to get a kind of uniform shape of that top, and then when dry you can sand it smooth. Then I use a spray can of gray paint. Make sure to use a satin or matte paint. That will turn out the best. And then we'll just add streaks to this. For that I'm using Vallejo Black 7950. It's acrylic paint. Wipe most off on a piece of paper or in the tray where you have the paint. And then make vertical streaks like this. Continue, and if you like, expand with corrosion red and brown, and they will eventually turn out like this. Now, the pipe which is going from the top down to the bottom can be made from a piece of brass tubing. This can be purchased at your hobby store. I'm using 2 washers to get the kind of look of a fixing of that brass tubing on top. I'm painting the bricks with a piece of sponge and a corrosion red. I'm using the same paint and technique for the pipe, and then I glue it in place using gel fast set glue with some accelerator. And in place, well, it looks pretty nice. And glued in place in the harbor, they look like this. So if you like, you can make this kind of concrete barrier around them, as I've done here, either from balsa wood and strip styrene, or you can just use cardboard, depending on what you have available. So now the train with diesel can take its first journey up to that locomotive station where we will have the diesel fueling point. So here goes diesel over the tall steel arch bridge through the yard, and then it finally will arrive up to that locomotive station. But hey, we have to build that fueling point first, and this is what it looked like when completed. It's a Deutsche Bahn standard diesel fueling facility, and the set of items comes from Model Railroad 3D. You find them on cgtrader.com. Search for building 0003, and this kit will come to you. It's $8 or $9 and contains a large amount of different items for a diesel fueling point. All you need to do then is to run it through the slicer. They're all pre-supported, so you don't have to spend time doing that. And then just hit print, wash them in alcohol, and then we can remove them from the supports. And once post-cured, they look like this. So here from the left are concrete base plates and walls, which surrounds the tanks. You have tank supports, ladders, and also horizontal and vertical tanks, plus tank automats or diesel fueling pumps. I'm going to start by coating everything with a mix of basalt gray and white, so I get kind of light gray color. I'm using my airbrush for this because it will give the best result, but it's of course possible to also apply the paint using a flat white brush. So this is what the pumps look like. With the handles, we're gonna paint some of the details of the handles and also the pipes in the side here where we'll attach the hoses. For this I'm using acrylic silver. So, and then the handles are painted black. There is also a PDF included in this 3D model set, which has a graphic for this tank automat on it. So just hit print on that as well on your laser or inkjet printer, and you have a label to attach to the front of these. The hoses is made from cable or cable isolation. This is 0.22 square millimeters, which is equal to 24 AVG cable or thinner. Optimal is the black decoder cables, but I didn't have any left, so my hoses here will be a bit thicker than what I really wanted them to be, but hey, this is the way. So I attached them with fast set glue and using accelerator. Now we're going to paint the shed for the pumps, and to get the coloring striped as the original Deutsche Bahn, I need to cover the lower part first with masking tape. So I use Carpenter's masking paper tape for this, and I push it into the corners using the rear side of my scalpel. So with the mask in place, we can start to paint the upper part in white gray color. And then I apply another mask on top and paint the red stripe. Now everything is ready. We can just add concrete color on the base plate of this fueling station. Once dry, we just glue the pumps in place inside there. So here goes the first one, the second one, and also that recycle bin. Over time I found that things with a roof like this often hide away the light from the parts stowed inside, and the best way to cope with that is to install LEDs. So I purchased 100 of these SMD LEDs, which is surface mount device, from Distrelec, and then they're very cheap, just a few Eurocent each. So connect them with the copper wires and then check that they actually work before you install the roof in place. So the roof is glued in place using fast set glue, and like this. The copper wire are fed out on the back side and painted in the same color as the shed, and thereby they become invisible. Alright, so the fueling station is ready. As you see, I've just used a bit of sandpaper on top here to get some aging of that roof. And installed, it looks like this, so really nice. And here comes the BR-218 in for refueling. All right, but we need another detail up there by the locomotive station, namely horizontal diesel tanks. They come out like this from the 3D printer. What you need to do is to remove the remains of the supports with a 120 grit sanding paper. Then you can glue the parts together. There are two sizes of these tanks, and I just cover them with first a gray primer and then the lower part with a kind of shade of brown paint. That's not really necessary. You can instead do like this. This is a makeup sponge which I dipped into pastel chalk powder in color burnt umber. Here are the tank supports. They are supposed to look like concrete, so I paint them in concrete color, and then I glue them in place using fast set glue on the tankers. So then I glue the tank in place inside of that concrete barrier on the base plate. Then we can install the installations for the outgoing pipes here. Again, I'm using fast set glue and a bit of accelerator when doing this to speed the process up. And this little ladder was also included in the set. And then I weather this concrete and the ladder using a makeup applicator and pastel chalk powder. And again, this is burnt umber brown. And glued in place, it looks like this. I printed a few extra of these electrical cabinets and placed in front here between the tracks. Now, there is one thing remaining, and that is the sand filling tower. I guess this is kind of old style sand filling tower, but it fits well with the steam era. It prints in one piece, so you just have to hit print and it will take a few hours, but then it comes out like this. All you need to do is to spray paint it with gray primer and then add weathering or aging to your liking.
All right. So, fueling points for your diesel locomotives or engines. Yeah, I must say I really like this new feature on my layout. I had a bit of it since earlier, but not this well worked out and nicely detailed. So I hope you also find it very inspiring and something you want to add to your layout. And if you have the Märklin system with a central station 2 or 3, then there is and run the MFX protocol, then there is the central station will keep track of the diesel and sand consumption on your layout as you run the diesel engines along the lines, and eventually they will need to go to refill. And there is a function built in there, so you can have a sensor track in front of your diesel facility, which sends a signal back through the S88 the decoder to the CS and refuel the diesel and sand levels in through the MFX Plus protocol. So that's something also you can do if you are running that system. Did you know that this channel is totally dependent on the supporters supporting it? And the best way to do that is by becoming patron. So get over to Patreon, set up a support account there from, like $1 or $2 per month. Or if you like to make a one-off donation, there is a PayPal dialog found in the video description below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and enable that little bell, and you will get a notification once next video gets published. Until that happens, see ya.